So one really great way to customize your Linux desktop is to learn to edit your, or rather write new, or even edit the old Linux desktop manifest files. Knowing where those are is a huge key to that. It also allows you to draw up your own icons if you want to. You can run your own icon libraries. You can link things to different icons. There's ways that we can make things work a lot faster with these manifests, because now we can have editors that we write that can edit things by a right click. So whenever you right click and you see the menu of all the different programs that can edit the file, that's done by these Linux manifest files that we're going to have a look at. So if you write a manifest for your program, once you give Linux that information about your program, that hey, it supports editing this type of content, then it gives me it gives Linux the ability to put that in that drop-down list. It knows, okay, put it in a drop-down list, let them use this application, suggest this application for editing that. It matches the MIME type. It has this icon. It belongs in this part of the menu if you want to put your stuff up there in your program's menus. These are the files that govern that. So we're going to look a little bit at the icon libraries, and particularly at a whole bunch of the desktop manifests that help you make the programs that you write look more like professional Linux programs that are a part of the regular Linux family. So key directories we're going to be looking at here. Anything in the user share is kind of more settings, but it's not really settings in the way that things are in the etc directory are. etc is meant for you to change everything. These guys are meant to be just configuration that's set up, and generally you would leave it alone, but you might add to it. Packages are generally intended to add to it. So as you write a package with a program in that, you may include a manifest as a part of that package. And then these desktop manifest files will make your package look a lot more professional. Your program and your package just look a whole lot more professional. User share icons. That's where your icon libraries are, and they've got a whole bunch of different icon libraries that we're going to take a look at, where we can have, we're really going to look mainly at one, but we're going to have a look at just seeing what the general of all of them are named. Well, not really all of them, but we're going to look at a chunk of them. There's a ton of them in there. It just depends on which display mode that the computer is trying to display your icon in. Depends on which of these many libraries of icons that it's going to pull it from. You name the icon in your manifest, and then it determines, based on its mode and based on what you declared your icon should be, the combination of the two make that whatever graphic that you is going to represent your program at that time. So that's a spot where you could put icons for your programs in as well. And then user share applications. That's for all your programs. The programs that are used to edit things, your games, your all kinds of stuff. Settings are in there. Settings applications are in there. They got a bunch of these desktop manifests, and these desktop manifests are oftentimes used as launchers. You can use these. You could copy them to your desktop, or you could write one on your desktop that launches something. I used to have one of these to edit one of my projects. I didn't really want to go through the whole process of opening up all the different programs I had to work on one of my projects. So I wrote a manifest that launched a shell file, and that shell file launched everything I needed. And we can even go on in here, and we've got access to our screensavers that are available. So we can register one of our applications to be a Linux screensaver by going on into user share applications screensavers. So now let's take a look at those directories and what they actually look like on here. So this is user share, and you'll see a whole bunch of stuff in here, and there's different settings in here, but the main thing that we really want to look at are icons and applications. And so icons, we've got contrasts. I think default might be one of them. They're kind of mixed in here, so you've really just got to kind of look around for it. I think that's one of them. We're going to take a look at, yeah, mate is one of them, I think, and mate black. So we're actually going to open these guys up, and actually, now that's, well, you've also got cursor libraries in here as well. So, but that's not what I'm really looking for. I'm looking for these guys. See, we've got these guys. These are the different sizes. So depending on the size that it wants, the type that it wants, depends on what it was. So these are the ones for standard mate. The 48 by 48 for applications. And we look on in here, you know, to 24 by 24 for applications. And this is for that Prius, however you say that. And these are a bunch of other application. You'll notice a lot of these, they've got these same names in here. Now these are the 24 by 24 sized. So you could add images to these libraries. You'd have to create a whole bunch of images, but you could create them in there where we've got, you know, our, actually that's not one of them. Okay. High contrast, so 48 by 48. Let's take a look, and apps, and here we see very high contrast, black and white, but we see a lot of these program names. You know, these are the ones for the application. So if it says it uses icon as Barasro, and it's going into high contrast and looking for 48 by 48, here it is. It's going to display that. If it's declared as boxes, it's going to give you that. Now, where do we declare these? Why is this so important that I go through here? Because here's our applications, and wow, these look like the programs, right? In fact, actually, if I right-click it, I can actually see that I could execute it right from there. Because these guys are like application shortcuts. They're actually launchers. They're not actually the programs. If we're actually going to look for Blender, let's find out where we would actually find it. It's actually in user bin Blender. It's not in user share. Not in user share applications Blender. So what is this? We can open this up with the text editor and see. And here we have the name. We have a generic name, and we can have translations. These parentheses indicate a different language. And you know, it's a 3D modeler. Wow, nice. Which we'll have to take a look at some other video. But and we can go on in here, and we can see comment information too. That's a kind of more of a descriptive way of putting it. And then all of our translations down here for comment. And down here at the bottom, we have, well, in this case, we've also got a bunch of keywords that can be used to, I guess, search for it somewhere else. I'm not as familiar with the keywords. Exec. Now you'll see that %F. That means the file name. If you right-clicked on a Blender file, something that matched MIME type application /x-blender, then that will give me the option to open up in Blender. And what it's going to do is it's going to execute Blender. So it's counting on, I mean, if it was me, I would have probably put that as user bin Blender. But hey, they're counting on the path. I would have done the full from the root, but they just went and did the path. Most of these in here are done that way. And then that %F is the file that you right-clicked on is being sent there. So it sends that file in. So it's going to be Blender space your file name. That's what it's going to execute, and it will start Blender and open up your file. So any other switches that you would need, if you had to have a load command, a load switch, you'd also want to put that in there as well. But %F is going to be your file name. Icon, that's your Blender. Remember, we showed that Blender icon. I said I think we showed the Blender icon. And if we used Blender for the icon name, that was the icon that would be loaded. Does it load in the terminal? A lot of times they also have Notify on here as well. It's an application, so it's just a regular program that runs. And categories, graphics, and 3D graphics. Now, a lot of times these categories are what they're going to use to determine where it goes. Graphics, we're going to find Blender in here because it's right in here. It tells me where it's putting it. And there's a bunch of categories that you can use that mean different things. Some of them say, if you don't have access to certain libraries, it won't run. Like if you have GTK, it should be listed under your categories if you use GTK to draw your graphics toolkit libraries. But here, it opens, if you have a MIME type declaration, which doesn't necessarily need to be added onto here, that's optional. But MIME type means, and you would separate multiple MIME types, as we'll see with the different manifests I have to show you. You would separate them by semicolons. So if I was also able to open up text, if I was able to open up plain text, it would be also text/plain, which of course it does not, so we're not going to save this. But that's the way it would be done. Actually, we'll just show it on the other manifest. So we have another one up here. We also have Bluefish. It's really good to look at. But there's a whole bunch of them. Go through there and look at a number of them on your system. Bluefish is great because it edits all kinds of stuff. It's a massive web editor. If you don't have it, it's a pretty cool program to have. I don't know if I'll ever do a video showcasing it or not, but it does all kinds of files. It's a really awesome program. So yeah, we've got our name, we got our name translated, and it's up to you if you wanted to translate. You can just do name, comment, whatever you want to do. It's a web development editor, Bluefish editor, and down here, it should also, well, we've also got keywords down here again, and that's also been translated on this one. So on here, after that, once again, we see that exec Bluefish %. And our icon, the Bluefish icon. So it added an icon to its libraries. It's not using generics. Terminal type, it's an application. Here's our startup notify. A lot of times they'll put startup notify in there, true, false. I'm not as familiar with exactly what that is. I don't think it's all that important exactly what startup notify means. So I generally just set it no because I don't really use it. In categories, here we go. Okay, it uses GTK libraries, so it should be in there. Genome, that's for the from the GNOME. G is supposed to be silent. I oftentimes say it as genome. It's supposed to be GNOME. It's one of your types of desktops, but it does not display on here. Sometimes we'll see, and I'll try and show. I'll see if I can hit one of these guys. I'll open up a couple more and see if I can hit one that says that it only displays on a particular type. There's another header in there that says that. Only, or not header, but another field that will say only show in a certain desktop environment. In this case here, it's for that desktop environment, but it's not restricting it to that. But it is development and web development. So development is your category here. That's where we're going to find Bluefish, right here. And we can put it up in there. We gave it an icon. It's all in there, so it was able to populate to that applications list. And yeah, development, and it's for web development, so it's part of your web development suite. And then all of these MIME types, see those multiple semicolons. This is why this is good to look at. It's got so many options, and it's good to just kind of look through here too. Because if you're not sure what to use to work with your application, maybe looking at the manifests might help. But at the same time, right-clicking on it is probably better, because then it does that for you. So, all right, I'm just going to try and take a look down here and see. Let's see here. There should be something. I think it was on mate something, or no, it was nope, that didn't work. Okay, this might be it. Let's see if it says show only. Nope, does not show that there. And this might be one. Just take a quick look here and see. Only show in. Right, here we go. Only show in. And that's one to know. Only show in mate. So it's got certain properties that it's not really meant to be used outside of mate. So that's an example there. And that one, you can see it also didn't have your MIME types and stuff like that. So MIME types is optional. It's only if you're opening up files with this one. There's all kinds of stuff that you can use, that you can look on into here. But now let's take a quick look at screensavers before I get on out of here. And let's take a look here at, see, we don't have icons on there, so it does not have the icon here, and it's got the same fields up there, our comments, our names, and then we come down here and we have our execute line, and here it goes from the root. Have an execute, try execute, all that. So this is all your stuff. This is the screensaver that goes through your pictures folder and tries to find images and display them. And so this is a category of screensaver, but it's in your screensavers folder, so it will know when you're trying to select a screensaver. This is an option that you can use. It can launch this if your system is inactive for that period of time. Now, if you're writing a screensaver, you want to make sure that it exits once it detects any type of movement. It's watching for that, and it will exit itself. Keywords, yeah, so a whole bunch of keywords on there too. This is apparently targeted for mate, but you can use it for, no, it shows only in mate. So only if you're in mate should you'll be viewing this. But all kinds of keywords and all that. So we can see how we have screensavers on here. All kinds of stuff you can learn by going through those folders here, especially the applications and the screensavers. You should go through there, right click on a few of them, open them up in a text editor, and see what you're working with. But if you double click on them, it will run the associated program, because they're like shortcuts. You could copy these to your desktop and have a shortcut to your program right there on your desktop if you choose.
Thank you for watching.